live stream link so we can all tweet that out. Let's go to my profile. It's working. Okay. That's the live stream. Sent that to you guys, Omar. And then Justin, I just dropped that in the chat.
Yep.
All right, everybody, we're live. Welcome to Everything SVM. I'm Alex Kahaya. I'm the founder and CEO of ABK Labs and the host of the Index podcast. Today, we're going to be talking with Justin from Zeus Network, along with my co-host Omar, who's the founder of Mantis. Mantis, Omar, you want to say a quick hello?
Yeah, sure. Hey guys, Omar from Mantis. We're building a Solana network extension to process user intents across Ethereum and Solana.
So I'm super excited to have Zeus on today, and Justin, thanks for making the time. I know we were joking before we went live here. It's 12 a.m. in Bangkok. You're at DEF CON, but it's a bull market, so nobody needs sleep. Just to give people context on the show for anybody who's tuning in for the first time, everything SVM is about the Solana virtual machine and this ecosystem in general, and it's meant to be a place where we can share ideas, talk about innovations that are coming to Solana. And our ethos is open source. We believe in just building together. We believe open source software is the purest form of innovation, and we want to share that with the community through these live streams. So I think to start, Justin, maybe just introduce yourself and just talk a little bit about Zeus Network. I think the thing I'm so excited about you guys is you bring BTC to Solana, and bring Bitcoin during this bull market to Solana. Timing couldn't be better. So excited to have you here and to talk more about what you guys are doing.
Well, pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting. So, hi guys, my name is Justin, founder and CEO of Zeus Networks. We're a layer extension to Solana Layer One. We enable Solana to communicate with Bitcoins. More so, using Solana to validate every incoming Bitcoin transactions. So it's not like third-party, off-chain, centralized control or proof. We're using Solana virtual machine, far more permissionless on-chain to validate every Bitcoin transaction coming to Solana. I think what's more important we have done differently is that we enable a POR that is used by Solana virtual machine. What is POR? It's proof of reserve. We see CBBTC, WBTC, all these wrap version of BTC are providing their proof of reserve by third party and using chain, putting on chains. But we have done this differently. We're using Solana virtual machine to validate every upcoming Bitcoin on chain one to one. There is no way they can change the rules. So every Bitcoin that you coming from Zeus, there is one Bitcoin that is stored under the taproot address.
Very cool. And how does that? So it's toward each Bitcoin, like it's one-to-one reserve. You can see that data on chain openly. Anybody can check and verify that. Is that how that works? And what's the architecture of the system that's like actually storing it where that's held?
Yeah, for sure. So if you see an address that is derived by a ZPL, a Zeus Program Library, that's the taproot address that connects to Zeus nodes. So essentially, when you deposit Bitcoin to the taproot address that is from CPL, it sends a signal to the Solana virtual machine being validated. And what does Zeus node do here? The Zeus node is the one that being guarded by your Bitcoins. So if you want to get your Bitcoin back, you have to get your minted version on Solana, burn it, and return it into Zeus node, and Zeus node will send a message to the taproot address and release the fund to you.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. So Zeus nodes are holding that BTC one-to-one. Is the network, it's a decentralized network. Is it permissionless or permissioned? Like, can anybody join and run a Zeus node, or is that like a phased approach? How does that work from who can participate in the Zeus network if you want to operate?
For sure, we are very delighted to really announcing this that we're ready to go live with Zeus Node in about 2 weeks. So there are a couple phases that with Zeus Nodes. The first one phase is that we are selecting 7 guardians. The guardians are running by majority by institutions or auditors or even an entity that can ensure that the Bitcoin that we're onboarding are going to be safely guarded. And phase two, which is Q1 next year, we are planning to enable more guardians. That's when a lot of people, if you have holding enough Zeus, and you can start running your own guardians to safely guard the entire BTC coming to Solana. So, and the third phase will be highly decentralized, where we're gonna building our own MPC solutions instead of using someone else's MPC. Because right now our approach is a hybrid solution, but in the future, Q2 next year, we're ready to go for permissionless with our MPC solution. So there's 3 phases, and then we're happy to chat more on that as well.
So, what's going to be your plan for, or maybe do you want to talk a little bit about how you see your bridged BTC being a part of Solana DeFi, and like what pairs are you guys going to focus on dexes and stuff like that?
Yeah, like I really love the fact that a lot of Solana audience are really emphasizing the importance of having bitcoins, but no one really knows what is Bitcoin for Solana overall. We are about last time I checked, we're about 40 to 50 billion dollars short in terms of TVL compared to Ethereum's. Obviously, if Solana wants to surpass Ethereum's TVL, we only need barely 1% of Bitcoin market cap supply into Solana. So that is a potential right there. It's second, but the most importantly, the demand for Solana, for Bitcoin on chain for Solana has been drastically increased for the last few months. We are witnessing about 2,000% increase in terms of on-chain activities. So I encourage everyone to go on SoulScan, type it out WBTC, and then click DeFi interaction on a daily basis. We are increasing drastically. It's not just about people that are buying Bitcoin on chain. It's about on chain's sustainable liquidities. The most sustainable, less volatile liquidity so far on the market is Bitcoin. It's not Solana. Solana compared to Bitcoin is fairly volatile. So when you trade Bitcoin, when you buy Bitcoin on chain, Bitcoin liquidities are fairly greatly used by Jupiter routers. So if you guys go on DeFi interactions on SoulScan with WBTC, you are seeing a lot of fractional liquidities are being greatly used by DeFi tokens.
It's already like that today, is what you're saying.
Yes, already like that today. A lot of people don't talk about it. And there's only $6 million TVL for WBTC. Imagine if meme tokens are start packing with BTC liquidities. A lot of meme tokens will have less volatilities. Wouldn't that be better for entire on-chain economic for Solana ecosystems? We love memes, we love tradings, but if there's a method, if there's a liquidity, if there's an asset that can ensure the volatility are be mitigated by the mega asset like Bitcoins in the futures, it is the way to go. People don't realize that $6 million of TVL for WBTC and SoPool are trading at almost $40 to $45 million on daily basis. It is not like people are buying Bitcoin. It is because the fraction of liquidities are being greatly used by meme token tradings or token-to-token tradings on Solana on chains. Just imagine that if we boost this to $20, $30 million, how much impact can we have for traders on chain for this kind of mega asset coming to Solana overall as an ecosystem? What Zeus is trying to do here is very different. So if you're seeing a Bitcoin that's coming from Zeus, it's one to unpack and mean. What does that mean? You can convert it back to real Bitcoin anytime you want, anywhere. No KYC, no KYB. Just imagine how much liquidity, how much users, depositors we are going to enable to. With no KYC, KYB, permissionless, you can do it anywhere you want to. You can provide your BTC liquidity anywhere or anytime you want to, without censorship. BitGo, Coinbase. It's not like they're wrong, but we are providing another method, another opportunities for people that doesn't want to go through KYB or KYC overall.
Yeah, I think if you guys succeed in the phased approach to decentralization and self-custody and or using MPC as part of the Guardian network, that's also really appealing because a lot of these bridges and like methods are pretty centralized for getting BTC and other assets bridged over from other ecosystems. And the Bitcoin community, their maxi is about self-custody, not your keys, not your coin. And so they want that security, and that's probably one of the reasons why there's not orders of magnitude higher liquidity today. It is interesting to hear that with 6 million is not that much, right? But the volume is already pretty high relative to that amount of liquidity, and then a lot of these Jupiter routers are actually using that with meme coin trading. I actually didn't realize that, so I have to go look at that. So how do people, if they are like curious and doing their own research on this, You mentioned they have got to go on SoulScan, like click around. Like, what's the
SoulScan,
best way to take a look?
WBDC. Go to SoulScan, type WBDC, and type the token contracts, and right at the bottom there's DeFi interactions, and then change the spectrum to daily, and you're gonna be surprised. A lot of interactions that happens between main to main tradings or token to token tradings, because they're the least volatile tokens, and then when the least volatile token happens, the token balancing are far more better compared to any other tokens, and the router will go through that instead of going through volatile asset that are needs to be rebalancing for liquidity pools. Yes.
And for the phase one, you've got some trusted institutions and things like that. Can you mention some of who some of these partners are that are going to be enabling the Guardian network in the beginning, or do you need to wait a little bit to make those announcements? I'm curious just to hear who some of them are.
Yeah, definitely for sure, for sure. I definitely have to wait for it because we're gonna do a huge announcement on a name of Guardians, but it are gonna be institutions, obviously, auditors, and also providers as well, Bitcoin providers. So
Hmm.
there's going to be multiple party of interest that are going to be securing this BTC coming to Solana on chain permissionless. I think people don't have to realize that is that CBBTC is being maintained by Coinbase, but
Yep.
any BTC through Zeus is maintained by yourself. You maintain with your own custodies. So your one BTC can mint it to Z1 ZBTC. In the future, it can create XYZ BTC on Solana through Zeus. I think that's a crazy part about it. People don't realize that.
Hmm.
Like any DeFi protocols can create their own version of BTC through Zeus. Imagine amount of liquidity, amount of yield that could potentially foster two or Bitcoin on chain on Solana.
Yeah, very cool. And what's the one of the things that I think is really interesting, yes, our TVL on Solana is still lower than Ethereum, but one of the huge metrics that we just passed Ethereum on was on-chain the revenue for applications. And Zeus is a app. You can kind of it is a network, but it's also an application on top of Solana, right? It's something that is leveraging the best parts of Solana to enable BTC to happen in a one-to-one, one BTC on Solana equals one BTC on Bitcoin manner. And I imagine it will generate a ton of revenue if you guys get traction. What's the revenue model for a Zeus node operator? Like, do they take a piece of the transfers, or what's the cost to using it for somebody who's looking to move BTC over to the network?
Yeah, every time you do a transfer from BTC to Solana or Solana back to BTC, we take a fee on that. We also take because every time you see the assets, it's derived by Zeus programmable library, so we call ZPL asset. So every CPL asset that is flowing around Solana will take a bit of fee in extra SOL that will be feeding into transaction fees. So there's more on-chain activities for our ZPL assets. As a result, there will be more fees could be potentially distributed back to Zeus Guardians. Yeah.
Got it. And can you tell me more about the ZPL, the Zeus program library? Is that kind of like SPL? It's like a kind of token. And can you do other things with it besides just like one-to-one BTC? Like, what's the vision for that?
Yeah, I think ideally we want to tap dormant liquidities. Dormant liquidities that's something that I think a lot of bridge solution hasn't been able to tap into. I get that wormhole, they bridge, they have on board, KBDC or CBDC, but they are just bridging assets. I think what we're trying to do here is being able to mint your asset from dormant liquidities into Solana, earning yield on chains. And in terms of dormant liquidities, we can name a few right there. And a lot of them are UTXOs. And the UTXO chains are not meant to be programmable on chains. And there are a few that we are trying to target right now, such as Bitcoin, obviously, Dogecoin, and Litecoins. And then even though you combine Dogecoins and Litecoin together, you're already looking at $30+ billion market caps already, whatever 40 billion market cap even today's. So there's a lot of things that we can really use these utility instead of speculating it. Just imagine a couple percent of the Dogecoin coming to Solana because of liquidity. How many DeFi protocols are actually going to be benefiting from this? Tons. And people can even buy Dogecoin on chain on Solana. No KYB, no KYC, without exchanges. Put it in a nutshell that a lot of you might be familiar with Thor chains. We could be the Thor chain on Solana, ultimately.
Interesting. What
What's
What? Go ahead, Omar. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what's the how does the staking of the Zeus token work? And can I, as a user, stake some Zeus tokens? And what do I get for that?
Yeah, definitely great questions. So you can buy Zeus token obviously from DEX, from SEX. More importantly, you can delegate. You can delegate your Zeus token into the Guardian pools. So it's not like you only have to run your own node so you can stick your Zeus. I think that's wrong. And there will be selected guardians in the phase one, and then you can start delegating as a retail. You can start getting your Zeus token into the pool that you love to. Obviously, all the pools, all the guardians will be greatly shared the same amount of yield, so everyone can participate overall to secure a network together. And we have token utility mechanism, which we'll be announcing early next week's. In order to secure enough Bitcoin to come in Solana, there has to be a certain amount of Zeus being locked and staked into the networks.
Yeah, can you explain that a little bit? Like, is it per epoch? So, for instance, like if I want to bridge $1 million of Bitcoin in one transaction, then there needs to be $1 million of Zeus tokens staked in that epoch, or can I break it up?
Yeah, great questions. Yeah, I will have to wait for next week, but I can give some hints. Obviously, there's has to be ratio, but ratio obviously is not due to Bitcoins. Ratio is with the network sustainabilities. It's impossible to pack Zeus in Bitcoin because in terms of market cap, it's kind of unfair. But there's gonna be a phase one ratio that we want to ensure that there's gonna be a sustainable amount of Zeus being locked in the networks to bring X amount of Bitcoin coming to Solana. And once phase one gets mature, we can go on phase two rolls. So I think the phase one is definitely bootstrapping Zeus staking into the networks. Once Zeus kicks off stakings, enough Zeus there, we can do more integration like Dogecoin, Litecoins, and so on and so forth.
Okay, so you have to have a certain amount of Zeus staked on the network in order for X amount of BTC to be enabled through it. Is that correct? Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, well, they're not packing, right? So it's more like there has to be X amount of Zeus to ensure network security. So
Hmm.
we are going to open up capacity for X amount of Bitcoin coming over, because we don't want to be like a lot of Bitcoin coming over and everyone's just on stakes. So it kind of gives us a sense of security, sustainability, where okay, there's enough token in the networks, is operating smoothly, and as a result, more Bitcoin come over. Because the way we design it, we want to ensure Zeus is a network tokens. It's not a government token. It's a network tokens.
Yep. Yep. Makes sense. So we've got Frank here from Soon. How's it going, Frank? I see you on the camera there. You just point your camera, just like tilt your camera up a little bit if you can hear me. So your face is more in the screen.
Test, test. Can you actually hear me now?
Yeah.
Let me. I think something wrong with my.
See if your headphones can connect. There's a little bit of echo.
Test, test. Can you guys hear me now?
I can hear you.
Yep.
Yeah, nice.
Can you hear?
Perfect. Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for joining. Everybody, welcome Frank from Soon. They had some technical difficulties on their end, so we were able to get Frank on. Thanks for jumping on. I appreciate it. Do you want to just introduce yourself a little bit and talk about Soon for a second?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me. So I'm Frank. I'm soon head of Eco, and basically soon we are building a Solana rollup stack, and soon actually is a short version of the Solana OP network. So you can see we are kind of building burn OP to the Solana. So with the soon stack, you can actually launch your own SVM or any other layer ones, and so it's basically an OP super chain. Yeah, and I think we also took the first mover advantage to build our own layer 2, which is Solana on the Ethereum. So we're basically building using the SVM as a execution layer and using the Ethereum as a settlement layer to build a more high performance layer 2. Yeah, in the future. Yeah.
So I'm a huge fan of Soon, also an advisor through ABK Labs to the Soon team. And one thing that's interesting to connect the dots here between Zeus and Soon, and I think more of a question for Justin, is there a way to enable Zeus to work on like any SVM chain? Like, like, do you have any thoughts on that with like some of these new, like, because you could bring BTC to Ethereum essentially, which we know BTC already lives on, has like a path for that. But with Soon, or or something like Soon's rollup, you could bring BTC to a high throughput, fast, cheap, affordable, Ethereum L chain. Is that something you can do, or do you have thoughts on that? Like, is it feasible from a technical standpoint, just using the same architecture, you think?
Yes, definitely. I think I actually talked to a friend at Hong Kong a few weeks ago about these ideas. And then looking back, we have done due diligence and investigation toward the architects that we're trying to design is feasible. So basically, if Sun wants to receive Bitcoin, Litecoin, Dogecoin in the future, all they have to do is run the Zeus nodes.
That's
And
cool.
these will enable node-to-node P2P network communications. And then once they deposit to Zeus, they can mint it another BTC and Doge or Litecoin into the Sun networks. So as a result, if Sun is going to roll out more super chains under their architects, even better for us. So everyone can receive Bitcoin and Litecoin and Dogecoin instantly. As long as everyone's using SVM architects, there's a way for us to integrate.
That is very cool. And I think that liquidity just needs to get everywhere, right? Like, if you want this liquidity to get to as many
Yes.
chains as possible to push the whole space forward. And it's one of the things I'm like really excited about, like the network extension space and people working on all SVMs, is I do think as long as you're building open source software, which I know both of you guys are, like you're contributing to the ecosystem and people can then compose those ideas, because that's all code is, it's ideas, right? And you can kind of take those ideas and make them composable, and I think bring the whole space together. And I think you guys even having a conversation about this, what you said like 2 weeks ago or something, that is that's part of the ethos of just building together. We just find ways to work together and build. And so that's very cool to see. One question I have for you, Justin, is what's the UX like for if I have one BTC and I want to move it to Solana? Can you walk me through the user experience of that with
Yeah.
Zeus? Like, is there an app I use? Do I have to connect different wallets or anything? Like,
Yeah.
how do you make that happen?
So first of all, Zeus is an infrastructure protocols networks where people can build on top. So let's say you can build an app, a dApp on top of it, enable Bitcoin address and then Solana logins. So pretty much any dApps on Solana could integrate with a ZPL, Swiss Programmable Library, to have that service. And the first dApp that's ever been built on top of Zeus is called Apollo. So Apollo enables BTC to ZBTC seamlessly, smoothly, on-chain permissionless. So all you have to do is log into your Apollo dApps and then connect your BTC address, BTC wallets, and then a Phantom wallet or any SPO wallets, and you can deposit your Bitcoin, convert it to ZBTC on Solana on chains. It's
Okay, so
very similar to what Wormhole or Deep Bridge experience UIX. Yeah.
yeah, you put like a deposit address and a destination address, and then you just hit go, and it makes this flop
Yeah.
basically. Do you have to deposit and then
Correct.
hit go? Because that's kind of how osmosis works. Like, I've used osmosis on Cosmos a bunch, and I have to like
Yeah.
deposit my Akash tokens if I want to trade them for like atoms. I have to deposit them in that system, and then I can
Yeah.
make trades. And I still sign with my wallet and everything. Like, it's not like I'm using their wallet. Is it like that where you deposit first and then make the swap, or does it all just kind of happen at once?
It's where you deposit and it will send you notifications, and then you approve, and then you will see your balance on Solana under the dashboard of Apollo.
Cool.
And you can choose custodian or non-custodians. Custodians where we make your BTC, we will make yield for a BTC autonomously. So you just stake it, leave it. We deploy to the liquidity pools, and you start earning yield passively. But whereas
Yeah.
the non-custodian solutions where you can play around your ZBTC. You can deposit the Caminos. You can provide your ZBTC to any new DeFi projects. They can open a new vault you can deposit into. But what we're trying to do here is we're trying to gain the most on-chain liquidity for Solana overall with BTC. Yeah.
Very cool. And then we've only got a couple minutes left, so I have a couple more questions for you, Justin, and then I want to give Frank some time to give us some soon updates. Um, uh, So where are you? Two questions. What's the traction like? You mentioned this before of like how much BTC is sort of on your wait list to onboard to Solana, and what kind of partnerships? You mentioned Camino, right? Like I imagine out of the gate you're going to launch with some partnerships where people can make use of their BTC on Solana. What kind of things can you talk about as far as the different DeFi applications that you think are going to support BTC with Zeus, sort of out of the gate? So
Yeah.
it's
So
really
in
two
terms
part
of
question.
yeah, for sure. Great questions, first of all. Yeah, in terms of amount of BTC that we're going to bring to Solana, I can't disclose, but I can tell you that we are going to make a huge announcement with institutions by the end of November. So when we talk about numbers, our number is not just a few hundreds. We're talking about we want to be the best, the top providers. And right now there's 2,700 BTC for WBTC into Solana. We can double that. I'm pretty confident on this. Yeah. And then in terms of answering your second questions, there are really a lot of great usages you can use with your Bitcoin assets, WBTC obviously. First is JLP. Jupiter Purse is probably one of the most profitable dApps right now for the entire Solana ecosystem. And then in terms of yield, no risk yield, JLP is probably the best. All you have to do is deposit WBTC, and you can start earning JLP as a liquidity providers. That's one of the first method. And let's not forget, there's over 400 plus DeFi projects that are coming live after Solana Hackathon this year. Just imagine how many DeFi projects are going to target these mega liquidity Bitcoin. They are going to open up their vaults, accepting your Bitcoins. They're going to create all kinds of yield on top of your BTC yields. And if that's the case, even better. There is more options for the future BTC user on Solana. There's even more choices for institutions that can deploy big chunk of the BTC into Solana earning yield on-chain permissionless, and which is I'm very excited for.
Yeah. So last, I guess one more question that you made me think of is for application developers who are listening to this that want to get that composable ZBTC in their apps, where do they go to like look at your code base? Can they look on GitHub? Can they look on where's the documentation? And the second part of that question is for people who want to deposit BTC with you, like if they want to get in line to be some of the first people to provide that liquidity, how can they do that? So that's my last two things for people to just give them some action items.
Yeah, great. So Zeus Network will go live in November. That's all I can say. And then GitHub will go open source in December. And
Okay.
by Q1 early next year, anyone can mint their own version of XYZ BTC soon. So that's something that we're targeting. And Q2, that's where things gets interesting. Where Litecoin, Dogecoin going live, and then we also want to enable this composable solution for all SVM layers. People can start deploying their BTC minted through Zeus and deploy to Soon or any SVM layers out there.
Awesome. All right, Frank, what's the latest with the Soon ecosystem? Give me an update. I know you guys have a test net.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. So basically, what we just launched our testnet back in last week, and we got so many good projects in the pipeline. I think as we are partnering with good projects like Zeus Network, I think there are more than 30 projects are starting already deploying on us. And not only we focus on the contract level, we are all really paying more attention on the really user interface. We want to build a bunch of eco projects that can really let user use. I think that's actually most important for the SVM, because people don't play TVL games anymore. People want to really fun transaction, really fun to some really helpful dApps they can use in the daily life. So we are focused on so much on the high performance deepin, DeFi, and also consumer apps. So we have so many good projects in pipeline, and we are, I think, a little alpha here. I think we are hitting mainnet maybe in December. So we are shipping really fast. And
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's the thing about Soon that I just love. It's like y'all started the project not that long ago, and you're already have your test net and are planning to ship mainnet. That's pretty, like, people who are listening who, if you haven't been on one of these teams that's built a project like this, it's so hard. And the fact that they're shipping this quick is kind of crazy. So kudos to you guys for that.
Thanks.
So
Yeah.
we're kind of getting to the top of the show here, but Justin, what have I not asked you that I should have asked, or that you wanted to talk about?
Well, like I think we have to look at it for Solana community perspective is that a lot of people like us, we're not familiar with Bitcoins, right? We're used to earning yield with our soul staking, Cheeto Cell. There are tons of wrap cells out there. And in terms of providing liquidities, I guess most of us are providing liquidities as a sole pairs. But what if we have to think from outside the tables, outside the box? Actually, that a lot there are not that many options or for BDC wrap version BDC out there on the markets. Not even mention like you can never earn yield with your wrap version of BDC. But
Yeah,
if we are given opportunities of wrap version BDC coming to Solana, earning yield, but at the same time providing liquidity for the entire Solana ecosystems, what could have changed? What could have changed better? The amount of impact I'm foreseeing right now is enormous in terms of traders on chains, DeFi protocols, TVLs, but the most importantly, it's the network to network partnerships. It's a Bitcoin and Solana working together. That is something that Ethereum has failed last cycles. If Solana succeeded this cycle working with Bitcoin, we're gonna see far bigger economic are gonna be building on top of this.
yeah, it's super exciting. I couldn't agree more. And I'm happy to hear you guys are open sourcing the software in December, because I think that's going to be super important for building trust with the Bitcoin community. You know, they're obviously built on open source, and I know anyone who has significant amounts of Bitcoin that is playing around in DeFi is going to want to check out the software, or at least know it's been checked out by other people who know, like core devs and things like that. So yeah, this is one of the more exciting Zeus is one of the more exciting projects, I think, for me this cycle, especially for Solana mainnet, and also for the SVM ecosystem in general. So I really appreciate you coming on the live stream with Omar and I today and sharing more about it, and wish you the best of luck. And Frank, thanks so much for hopping on. I know we were a little delayed there, but always down to have soon, or anybody from your team hopping on these streams with us just to chat. So thanks for being here,
Thanks.
guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks, Omar.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
Frank, too. Good seeing you, Frank.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Let's go.
Have a good one.
Yep.